Namaskar everyone, this is Shivani Gupta from hellomyyoga. We are doing for the first time this IG live. Happy International Women's Day and happy Mahashivratri. Yes, we have today Swati Chaudhari joining us. She waved me, so I'll just ask her to join. We have got Swati Chaudhari joining us from Milan, Italy. She'll be joining us anytime soon. Namaskar, Swati.
Namaste, namaskar, Shivani ji.
Happy Mahashivratri.
I'm not able to do my namaskar properly because one hand is not free.
I got this tripod. I think two amateur people are doing IG live.
So happy to see you.
We've got Swati Chaudhari on today from Italy, Milan, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's a board member of two NGOs, Geosatis Trust and Garia Sathi, isn't it?
Yes.
Both
yes.
the NGOs work for underprivileged children. With this, she has her own yoga center, Swati and Yoga. I just love this name.
Thank
you.
And
where she runs online and offline therapeutic yoga classes. I came in contact with Swati during hellomyyoga programs, and she is really inspiring to discuss different life matters, where we have a lot of yoga talks also, friends. So I'm just not limiting myself saying that life matters, but yes, there's a lot of yoga talks. So we thought, why not to get her on a platform and hold a conversation that can inspire a lot of people. By the way, she is polyglot. She knows more than 4 languages. Swati, let's maintain Hindi and English decorum.
Absolutely. Not a problem at all.
So, a warm welcome to our IG live, Chat on the Mat. And we are hosting this Samvaad, not to advocate people, but to inspire people and their lives. To tell them what yoga plays an important role in our life as a woman. And here I'm not talking about asanas only, I'm talking about a lot of other dimensions. So, Swati, how yoga happened in your life? You were into education management, you live in India, then Indonesia, and then Italy. So in all, how it happened in your life?
I think yoga, I think we know when you're growing up in India, you have yoga almost every step of the way, every day, something very yogic comes up. Whether it be, sports session in school. So before, you start sports, you're warming up, it's always some asana. Or whether if it's, whether it be assembly during school. From a very young age, we have that. We always have that in
yes,
in and
then
around.
we have the physical poses, I'll say, but I think the yama niyamas comes with the community, with the family upbringings.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
So, our religious activities where a lot of spirituality, a lot of inclination towards spiritual activity is there. So, I completely agree that in
whether
Indian
you have it,
style of upbringing.
Exactly. Whether it's just around us, whether you have it at home, whether you have it in school. How many of us we have seen from a very, very young age, our parents or one parent or grandparents spending a few minutes every morning, whether they are doing their puja, whether they're just doing, saying a silent prayer in front of an altar, whatever their religious beliefs are or their spiritual beliefs are. So yoga, has always been there. In many ways, we talk about meditation, yogic meditation, around and across cultures. It's been there. So yoga was very much part of.
I completely agree with you, because our program, the essence of Om, where we do the japas, where we teach us different style of japas. I still remember I've seen my grandmoms doing japas.
Yes.
And from there itself, I have got this idea of doing japas. And creating a platform where I can share the dimension about japas in your personal own life as well. So yes, I agree in that perspective with you. Yeah, the yoga is always part of our life.
It's always been. Yes, yes. So yes,
So
so always been there. Sorry, you were going to ask me. Excuse me.
yeah, so I was asking you that you have a family, you live with your family, you have a full-time job. I mean jobs, because you are handling so many things, and then you have your own self practice, because I know that we hold a lot of and long conversation about our sadhanas.
Yes.
So how do you manage this? First, tell something about your sadhana, your daily ritual, and then how do you manage it?
I think the word you used, ritual, I think it's all about the daily discipline we have and the daily ritual we have, right? What if our daily ritual, even our yogic ritual, became as important or as daily as brushing our teeth, for example?
Agree.
You know, so so part of the the daily our consciousness of where we onto what we put our thoughts into. As you will see, it comes and goes during the day, but it's always, again, constantly there. Whether we are concentrating on our work, we get a little break from our work, and there are many of us who put our thoughts or our practices into something that is quite yogic. Whether you suddenly start daydreaming, or that leads on to meditation, and you've put certain perspectives in a certain line that were a little chaotic, and you've put it in a certain line, or whether you've got up and you've stretched, you've stretched, because all of us now are very sedentary. We sit and we are working all the time around the clock, even more than just holding a job. So those rituals become a part of our daily lives, from the time we wake up and when we go to sleep. Well, when you talked about specifically doing yoga, again, wherever I have been around the world, to talk about even living in Indonesia, I used to go for yoga sessions with a French yogini. She was French, and that continued wherever I've lived. Living in France, my yogini guru, she was Italian, and then you move on to another place, another country, where I feel I'm very, very lucky. I have been very lucky to have this mix, not just have my own practice that I have for myself, but to be in the hands of gurus, and gurus from yoginis from everywhere,
No, that's wonderful. And you know what, Swati, I always feel that when you stick to a practice for a longer period of time, that practice then turn into a sadhana, into a ritual. Because you look forward every day to do it, irrespective of the timing. Yeah, whatever commitments you have on priority, you will fulfill that, but then you'll go back to your practice, because you know that practice is the space for your introspection.
Absolutely.
It could be anything. I said that it could be anything, and it always an experiential thing. For me, what yoga is, for you, it might be different. So I completely agree with you. You said that it can be stretching, it can be meditation, it can be anything.
There are, if you wish, there are other examples I can give you. For example, when my husband and we go for our morning walks, there have been moments where we've come back from our morning walks, we've sat together and chanted Om. And there have been moments that there's been so much energy created that we actually felt the window panes vibrating.
Beautiful. Wonderful.
So you have this, revelation of
Om
such energy.
is an absolute sound. Om is an absolute sound. Sanskrit vibration is like, there is a workshop which we did with Dr. Anand Pal Yogi Bhavnani on pineal gland, if you remember. And he said that chanting Om can help in actually working on your pineal gland.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know.
So Om has, and what else episodes would you like to share with your yoga, related to your yoga practice?
Well, all these surprises when you are oming, you're chanting your om with your beloved one, and suddenly there's so much energy created that even the window panes are vibrating. It's amazing. Then when I used to swim, I was a swimmer, and I would actually, breathing out, I would actually om my breath out underwater. When you breathe out, you have your face in water.
Inside.
And it is a completely different sensation, sound, and vibration. This is an experience that it's something I have experienced, and I can't explain beyond this, because it's a sensation that's so particular. It's when you have your head underwater, plus you are vibrating. You yourself are making that vibration, and the vibrations are in water, and you can hear it in the muffled sound, not in the reality of sound as we hear, but underwater. So these incredible experiences that
So
I
that means
experienced.
here you make a strong reasoning that for yoga you don't need always a mat. You can practice yoga anywhere and everywhere.
Just by walking.
Just by walking. Mindfulness walking, how many times when we have walked on different paths, we have actually realized that you are pressing your feet on the floor. How many times we have realized
How
that?
many times?
We just walk, reach to our destination, and started working.
Exactly.
So we have become so fast forward that we have to create different platforms to pull ourselves back and become a bit slow in our daily lives. Because that is the most.
Yes.
That is the most.
Life has become like that. Yes. Life has become like that, and that is our reality, the reality of today's world. Maybe everybody's lives are a little bit more chaotic, but since we have our lives in our hands, we can decide what we need to do about that chaos. We are lucky enough to have to take that decision and then do something about that chaos. Because let me put it this way, the perspective should be that chaos is always going to exist in our lives, but it's how we don't get controlled by the chaos, but we know how to control the chaos, and in that we will be able to bring in a bit of peace.
Yes, I agree with you. And for that reason, it reminds me now, Dr. N. Ganesh Rao's statement, that how breath controls your mind. It's not mind controls the breath. It is just now that we have created a mind this way that now the mind is controlling the breath, but it was always that breath controls our mind. And if we see that how in different situations, what happens to breath when we are excited, what happens to breath when we are sad and dull, what happens to our breath when we are tired, fatigued, what happens to our breath. So in all different situations, if we take care of our breath and we reverse this process and we start inhaling, exhaling in a deeper way, we'll realize everything will sort it out.
Absolutely. And it's for nothing that they say that there are two sides to a coin. That's a saying, and it's existed forever, not for nothing. There are different different ways of looking at one thing. That's what we should try. That's what we should.
And our next program with Dr. N. Ganesh Rao is actually about those things only. That looking at the same thing in a different way is actually the program which we are doing with him is on Panchakosha, which is 5 cells. And that's a perspective which we'll be giving to the people, that looking at the same situation with Annamaya Kosha, with Pranamaya Kosha, with Manomaya Kosha, with Gyanmaya Kosha, with the state of Anandamaya Kosha, with the state of Ananda, the entire, that same situation changes. It's like when, the blind people are touching elephant and, they are asked to go back to that story.
Yes,
we go back to that story. So, yes. you are completely correct that this proverb that the coin has two sides. It's not said like that only.
Yeah, it has many
It has
sides.
its
Let's put it
purpose.
that
It
way.
has. Yes.
Yes.
So we have been in constant touch, Swati, past 3.5 years, and we have discussed a lot of life matters. You have seen me also in bad phases. I have seen you also in some good phases.
Yes.
And at Hello My no Yoga, I actually know your commitment. Because when you are not traveling or when you are not working, you are actually learning something new. And your
Absolutely.
commitment at Hello My Yoga is fantabulous because so far you have a score of 90% joining our
I
programs. You
do.
have joined, yeah. So every year we actually look at the people who have joined the most of the programs, and you've been leading it like anything. You've been
Wow.
joining 90% of programs, and this 10% gap is also there with the reason that these 10% programs are repeated programs. So obviously,
Right.
once you
Also.
have attended, so but yeah, I'm proud of this fact that Hello My Yoga is actually producing that kind of content that we are getting
Yes.
people again and again joining us, and that's so much because of the love we get from different social media platforms,
Of
from
course.
other people who spread the word of mouth about Hello My Yoga. So tell me what resonates at Hello My Yoga that you keep joining our program. I'm not, I'm just not, boasting about something, but here I really want to know that how Hello My Yoga first happened in your life. I want to know that reason. And then
I.
second is
Mm-hmm.
how do you find Hello My Yoga in your daily practices? How we are fulfilling a role in your daily practices?
Well, let me put it this way. I think from the very beginning, from the very first, um, the program that I had done with you, uh, the interest was created from the very first program, very first project.
Thank you so
And
much.
and I do have the mind of a researcher. I do have the mind of a scholar and a researcher, because
Because of
I
your
am a very,
education
very
management.
curious. I'm a very curious human being. But the programs that you come up with, the projects, programs, study matter, etc., that Hello My Yoga, you specifically, Shivani, you come up with, is just so amazingly interesting, and again, so multifaceted. It's not just walking down one straight track. Um, uh, there's so much um, interest created, even if you're on that track, whatever module we're researching, studying, going down that path, but we turn our heads to the left, to the right, and there are other things that create more curiosity of the same topic that we are studying together, that we're researching together, that it's just all been very, very interesting. You have amazingly interesting concepts we discuss, um, projects that you've come up with. Some have been very technical and scientific. Some have been very philosophic, and but the kind of interest that was generated, it's once you have, like I said, I have a very curious mind, so it's you get hooked onto that. So I keep coming back for more because it's all so interesting.
Thank you
So
so much.
each year after year, I'm back.
So this gives me a lot of energy to work again and again and make sure that there are a lot of people who are resonating with it. They are also thinking in that direction, that the way we are thinking, and it is helping them to apply to the curiosity what we are kindling to. Because
Absolutely.
the ultimate objective at Hello My Yoga is, Swati, that people should not just learn and go away. They should apply. So I'm glad that there are a couple of people in our community who keep coming back to us with questions. And there are
Yes.
like plenty of questions. And you know, the
Yes.
way we answer your questions, the way
Yes.
we work
Yes.
upon your questions. So we have such people who give us first is prana, to keep doing what we are doing first. Then second is they give us a lot of fodder to work upon, to do researches, and then sit with teachers. It is very important, manthan.
Yes.
I am
Yes.
I'm so motivated with Manthan. And
Yes.
then second is experiences. When people share their experiences. These two
Experiences.
things are pillars of hellomyyoga, which keeps helping us to evolve. If
Sure.
if people say
Absolutely.
that this concept is dying, and I still feel that it has an energy. We sit with the teacher to change how to change the perspective. Maybe the content is not working, maybe something else is not working. Then we start working on it so that we evolve. Because
Excellent.
I know that ancient India is a treasure, is
Yes.
a treasure for
Yes.
a lot of things, be it mental health, be it a physical health,
Yes.
and be it spiritual health
Spiritual
also.
health. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the most important is environment.
Absolutely.
You know, um, one of the teacher, Dr. Vinita Ketkar. I always discuss with her this one of the most important thing is that in today's life, we can't ask people to follow us or to do something which is good to their life, but we can be an example to them. So when you do your sadhana, it is not only for yourself, but for the person also to whom you want to change.
Yes. Yes.
So so there I want to know that how your daily practices, your daily sadhana plays a role. This is
Well,
out of syllabus, but I
yeah,
just love to ask.
I know. I know. Well, talking about, let's say creating awareness or, uh, well, I'm talking purely from, the educational point of view, because I am in the world of education, and have been for decades, or coming up to almost 3 decades now. So in the world of education, I think you see people learning best, learning the most, wanting to learn at an optimum level, at a total peak, when when you their curiosity is met, when their curiosity is unleashed, and that is how interest is created. If I, as an educator, if I relate certain experiences that, while this is a very yogic experience I've had, and I just relate that to some people who come to me for yoga, just by relating an experience I have had, I see that they also are curious about experiencing that. You see?
Especially
That's
because when you for here, sorry, I'm breaking you in between, but this is like
not
an
at all.
extended question in this. Especially when we are living in India, people can relate with it. But here you are living in Italy. So how do you communicate your experience, your feel in that ways, in that direction, that the people who are visiting you, they resonate with it?
I think also one thing that works for me, sorry, excuse me, what I realize works for me is that, see, here, or the other countries I live in, um, I am originally, and I am deeply inside spiritually also, and originally Indian. Most people I have here coming to me, let's say in Europe, um, what they know about yoga, what they experience, about yoga, etc., is through the person in front of them, who is of Indian origin, who is from India, etc., relating to them what I have experienced. Uh, that helps. That helps a lot. They also know that for their sake, for my own sake, and for their own sake, I do have um, um, a dedicated time in my life where I am doing my own studies. I am doing my own practice, my own studies, my research. In on one hand, it's education and my research, and on the other hand is my practice.
Mm-hmm.
So they know that also. So knowing all that, I think, also gives them maybe the will to also, to also want to do that, to also want to experience that. How is it that, what could we do to bring it in as a, a daily moment, a daily yogic experience? So maybe that helps,
So,
coming. Yes,
yeah, you continue. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, sorry, I was waiting for your next question.
So, this is not a question, but this is an inquisitiveness. Out of inquisitiveness, I'll be asking this thing. You're a yoga instructor, and you are looking at an international culture. There is a huge shift in applying yogic science from physical health to mental health of late.
Yes.
So, how do you see now people approaching to you when they were previously for a yoga practice at your center? Because post COVID, we have realized this thing that there is a huge shift.
Yes, absolutely. Let me explain. Let me go back to the beginning. So what happened was that yoga with me, it all started and let's say took off actually during COVID. And all this was set up because we were the whole world was under lockdown, and there are many people I know who were locked in alone in their small places, but completely and totally alone. So what I had started was that getting communities together, obviously online, just to be able to breathe together. From that, I then went on to explain that yoga in itself is multifaceted.
Agreed.
And the concentration right from the beginning is actually your mind, your spirituality, your mind, your spirit. And then at a certain eventual point, we then start concentrating on your breath and your breathing, and then physicalities, asanas, etc. So that coming from an explanation coming from an Indian, I think helped. I have had yogis who are psychotherapists, who are doctors, who are coaches, etc. So they themselves work in the world of
Stress,
mental health, physical health, mental health,
yes.
Right? And they themselves have, for years, in their years of their career, have constantly been keeping an eye on their patients, etc., primarily for mental health, and in the most amazing manner, you will see that the yogic way is very close to maybe what psychologists follow in their way of treatment, or let's say physiotherapists follow in their way of treating their patients. So the kernel of it all, the very core of it all, is all about not just physical health, but the primary thing is mental health, spiritual health, mental health. Let's talk about mental health. Spiritual health is at another level, because most people from around the world, where they are at, the lives they have, they do not even probably have the time to concentrate on their spiritual self. We are a very few lucky human beings who have the will, the time, the energy to concentrate on our spirituality. Spirituality, anyway, in itself, I think is something very personal.
Yes.
Something very personal.
It is.
But talking about mental health, and mental health is about mental equilibrium, a very balanced state of being. That is mental health. Now, let's not get into mental illnesses and all that, because those are, disorders, illnesses. in the hands of, doctors. They deal with all that. But the mental equilibrium, mental health, is what the whole world is talking about now, because I think we are in general, in a very, global manner, all facing huge mental chaos. Whichever
Yes.
country you're in, whichever culture you're in, whichever background you're from, everybody is facing this huge mental chaos. So within that, whatever, in whichever way you can help yourself out or you can help other people, bring back that mental balance. That in itself, just that first step, trying to, bring in that equilibrium, is going to help with mental health. Whichever way you do it, whether you
I
are
completely agree with you.
talking and having yogic talks, whether you're meditating, whether you're breathing, but obviously it has become something primordial to everybody now.
No, I completely agree with you. And going back to your statement on that, that how different disciplines also have activities which somewhere resonates with yogic activities like physiotherapist, and it reminds me of one of the interview which we did with one of the psychiatrists based in India, uh, and that's about stress. On YouTube it is available. That's purely about stress, and there actually she talked about the psychiatric practice where they actually help in relaxing different parts of the body while navigating them through the entire body, which is more or less similar to Yog Nidra.
Yes, yes,
So that entire conversation is about how science and spirituality meet. So that's so it took me back to that YouTube interview which we did with the psychiatrist. Yeah. So here, one more question I have is about your own
yes,
personal practice, Swati.
yes,
So, living in a family life, when I talk about a family life, is typical Indian family life,
yes,
where you have your own family also to manage, then you have your husband's family to manage, and then you
yes.
have your own kids and everyone. How do you balance that thing with your own personal practice on a daily basis?
Let's talk about time, and let's talk about time management, right? You know, in these very chaotic lives we all live, first of all, time management, I think, even for yourself
Yes.
and in relation to everybody else, and all these different lives we have, our family life, our work life, our own personal space and that life. um, I think time management becomes crucial, and we are all wishing for like 30 hours of the day, not 24 hours. Wish we had more time, right? Time management is crucial. And what is also very, very important is to be able to spend time with yourself is very important. You will always have that being encroached upon. Everybody else needs your time and your attention from you, right? But it is very, very important to, at one point, even if it's for a minute, maybe if it's longer, it's much better, to interiorize and say, okay, I need to spend that 1 minute or 1 hour with myself. And it's not about how do you find time for this? That's not the question, because you'll hear that. Lots of people ask, how do you even find time for this? You know what? You have to make time for this. You have to be so disciplined that you have to say to yourself, I am going to make time for this. Because if I don't make time for this, everything else is detrimental to certain things. So I need to make time for this. I am going to make time for this. And in that time I need to spend time with myself to focus on what is bringing in my personal equilibrium. So, yes, it is about time management, but
So
it is
I agree
also
with
about
you.
making time. What is absolutely crucial beyond and above
Hmm.
that time management is actually making time for it. You have to have the will and the absolute discipline and willpower to make time for it. Because we all get tired, we all get lazy, and we are like, okay, talk about even meditation. Oh, well, we didn't do it today, so we'll do it tomorrow. But no, you've got to be really, have that willpower to make time, and you have to fit in your own space, your own time within those 24 hours, without wishing that, oh, I wish we had 30 hours of the day. No, we don't.
No,
You
I
have to,
agree with you. Unless you don't get into your own practice, you don't manage your own practice, manage time for your own practice.
Yes.
The ship starts sinking.
Yes. And you have to have it in you to say to other people, obviously in the most polite way, but say to other people, right now, please stop. Please, let's take a step back, because right now I am going to not be able to give my time to you. I'm keeping this time for myself because whatever, I have to think about something, or I need to do something, whichever way you buy yourself your time, but you need to.
Yeah, and you know what? Even the other people start feeling that you look so better with the mental shape when you are done with your practice, and then you
Yes.
step out, and then you start doing the different activities. There's a tremendous, a different energy altogether. The
Absolutely.
previous avatar of yours and post-practice avatars of yours.
It just basically shows, right?
Yeah, that shows.
Yes.
For me, I have always told to my teacher that, my glasses will be always there on the bed, but I'll not be able to find it. But after my practice, wherever I keep them, I know they are there.
There.
It's a very
Exactly.
simple thing, but it happens.
Absolutely.
So, my last question, and this is really, really important because of mental health. We have already spoken up a part of it with the ownership of the practice, what you just said. But here, the important part is, how did this ownership, the realization for this ownership, happen in your life? And what was and how do you think yoga plays an important role in that ownership, that awareness?
I think maybe, right from the start, with, I think, total encouragement from my parents, my late parents, hats off to them. I think I was always allowed to be able to own my own life, right? With the understanding that there would be also grave mistakes made. But how do you learn from your mistakes? So, owning your life is also about that. It's not just saying to yourself, oh, I have the freedom to do whatever I feel like doing in life. No, with freedom, when you give yourself that kind of freedom, you have to be very careful that you are taking on responsibilities also. You're not going to be harming somebody else. If you are harming yourself, you need to know exactly how to get out of that situation, right? So ownership comes with a lot of responsibility. There's a heavy weight, on your head. There's a heavy weight here. So when you're younger and you think you're in full charge of your life and you've taken ownership, you take it on with a bit of lightness. But as you get older and older, you see, there's a huge responsibility behind that. And you cannot obviously put yourself or keep yourself in harm's way. We make mistakes, we bring harm onto ourselves, but we also need to know how to correct that and get out of that, right? But in no way should you be bringing harm onto other people.
Agreed.
That's just not done. You own your own life, but you don't own anybody else's life, so you should not be bringing any harm onto other people either by your by anything that is directed, or anything that is frivolous. You haven't thought about it yet, you've brought harm onto somebody else. So that's how it's been, considering also that I also needed to be careful because I was living throughout my life. I was living in different cultures also, living in different cultures, getting used to that, taking on, adapting to all that, and then in a very nice way, I've had many people in many different cultures actually get curious about my culture, where I come from, and who I am. But it's that's how it went. That's how life went. If you don't own your own life, if I did not own my own life, I don't think I would have done that much in life, right? And as I said to you right at the start, yoga had always been in my life. I would be practicing, then maybe for months I would give it up, but I would always get back to it. And it was always where, of course, we would be concentrating on asanas and all that, but there was always meditation. There was always interiorization, spirituality, and all that. Talking about owning that side of me was literally when it came up in during the lockdowns during COVID, when I literally saw and felt so many near and dear ones, the dear ones, suffering. And so that's when practicing came in, which obviously was miraculous for my own mental health. But in the sense that my mental equilibrium, I never thought that I was somebody who had some kind of mental disorder or something like that. Who knows? But when the pandemic started, I did have like many others, let's say panic attacks, things like that. Sort of panic attacks. So then I said, well, there is the whole world going through this. We are all connected there because the whole world is going through this. And that is exactly when, in that very yogic way, I started off putting people together, getting people from different, different cities of different countries, different time zones, getting together and just being together on their mat, online, on our mats, breathing. It all started with breathing,
The breathing is so important. When I started doing yoga, so it was just like a practice. After my office, I'm going to a yoga studio practicing. It was never a practice as a sadhana.
No.
So it just started as a physical practice, and for most of the people, the yoga practice always started as a physical practice. I'm not biased on this statement, but yes. So what did you say about the mental health and the breath? It is so integral. I realized it long time back because of my situations, but during COVID, I have seen the strongest physically strong-willed people also falling down. While mentally people who had a strong will, they suffered from like extreme symptoms, but they were able to pass through because of their strong mental health.
Yes.
So the balance between physical and mental health is so important. And yoga offers both the things together.
Absolutely, and more.
Yes. So I completely agree with you, and on that basis, I'll close here saying that the great practitioners have gone beyond body posture consciousness. And you have reflected something of that sort during this conversation today. I'm so grateful to you for joining us today from Milan.
Thank you.
And sharing with us your thoughts about it, your life experiences about it, your life anecdotes about it. I'm so grateful to you, Swati ji. And,
thank you so much.
And to all my audience who are watching this IG Live or will be watching it later, Tomorrow at 11 a.m. India timings, we'll be holding the similar kind of conversation with Chitra Ganesh, who's a Vedic chant expert. We'll be understanding how chanting can be a tool of yoga. So far we had this yoga thing only limited to mat. Now let's see how chanting can be a tool to yoga. So looking forward to see everybody again, and thank you so much, Swati, for
Thank you so
joining us.
much, Shivani ji, for having me here. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And see you in more Hello My Yoga programs.
Yes. And see you while I'm watching you and Chitra ji tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Thank you. Thank you.